In the news tonight, Barbadians could be paying more for electricity as the BL&P moves towards its 100% clean energy goals. The Middle East to join the airlift initiative between Africa and the Caribbean. 2 arrested for the murder of Darrian Robinson. And in sports, Barbados Pride moves to the top of the Super 50-point table with today's win over the Volcanoes.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you so much for tuning in. In our top story tonight, investments in batteries to stabilize the power grid as the Barbados Light and Power moves closer to its 100% clean energy goal will result in an increase in the cost of electricity. This was revealed today during a key developments in the energy sector media call. Well, Wendy Burke was on that call and she joins us now. Good evening, Wendy.
Good evening to you, Lisa. Well, Barbados Light and Power's top management met with the members of the media today via an online call where they highlighted some key developments in the sector. Among them, the fact that 30% of the island's electricity is now being provided by photovoltaic systems. Managing Director Roger Blackman says there are over 3,000 customers using RA systems and providing the power via the grid along with some wind power.
Collectively, it represents about 13% of the island's electricity being produced by our customers via their renewable energy systems. And that is really quite a remarkable accomplishment and achievement and puts us somewhere among the top 10 countries in the world, to put it in perspective, for solar PV penetration on the grid. So quite an accomplishment. And as a result, coming out of all of the good work that's been done over the past decade, putting feed-in tariffs in place and all of the stakeholders working together to move the industry forward. So a lot to be proud of in terms of progress. At the end of September, there was about 89 megawatts of distributed solar PV. So this is customer-owned PV and a small amount of wind installed on the grid.
Mr. Blackman says connections are coming on stream rapidly, but measures must be implemented so as not to destabilize the grid. And that's why they need BESS, battery energy storage systems.
It's growing at about an average rate of around 2 megawatts per month year to date. So growing quite rapidly. I wanted to keep the momentum going because there comes a point as we work with intermittent renewables like solar PV and wind, where we need to put batteries in particular and other hardware, but batteries in particular on the network to continue the momentum. And so I just wanted to speak briefly about the steps that we're taking to keep the momentum going and to facilitate the continued growth of the renewable energy sector. And there's several investments that have to be made, including batteries, to ensure the continued stability of the grid. Key aspect of our investment plans going forward and part of the application under the CTR. But in addition to batteries, there's also devices like synchronous condensers and automatic generation control, all of which work together to smooth out the supply from renewable energy sources that are connected to the grid. So these are all critical investments necessary for us going forward.
However, in order to make these investments, the power provider needs permission from the Fair Trading Commission for a clean energy transfer rider so they can import batteries. Director of Customer Solutions, Kim Griffith-Tang Howe, says the rider, which now has guidelines given by the FTC, and they filed their first application on October 5th. She pointed out that the increase to customers would be over a 3 to 5 year period.
For instance, in the first year, what we've calculated, it will be around 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So for a customer, for instance, consuming 250 kilowatt hours a month, that would be an additional $5 a month on their bill. And I'll give you an example again. For a customer who uses more than that, maybe around 450 kilowatt hours a month, that would be an additional $9 a month in year one.
The Customer Solutions boss indicated that this is not just about the company, but assisting the country.
The benefits for us as a country is that we make that and we get closer to those 2030 goals, we become more energy independent and self-reliant, and it helps us to reduce our fossil fuel dependence. And these investments ultimately should and will result in some fuel savings. So while there is a cost associated with moving towards more significant RE penetration and these RE investments, really the path to achieving 2030, there is a cost to that. We obviously look at it and it's balanced against the benefit of making such a progressive step.
Well, Lisa, it's just a matter now of waiting to see how and when the FTC will respond to that October 5th filing.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Well, with the possible threat of terrorism, Barbados should consider doing more to protect its utility infrastructure. Deputy President of the Senate, Her Honor Elizabeth Thompson, says this is critical as Barbados and other Caribbean territories could be seen as soft targets for terrorists. She made the call for enhanced security at the respective sites across the island during today's Senate debate.
If you go around to various critical installations in Barbados, whether it is water or electricity, there is either a sleeping watchman, a missing watchman, a watchman who should be there but who working another job or who really home with his family, or no watchman at all. And in these days, we really have to either have cameras, monitoring, drones, and electronic monitoring at headquarters to protect the safety of our electrical supply and our water supply, because these can and will be targets at some point by nefarious persons.
The changes to the management structure outlined by the Barbados Water Authority Amendment Bill will allow that entity to serve the needs of the public more effectively. That's the view of Senator Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight, who made the point as she led off debate on the legislation in the Upper House this morning.
Before, when you looked at the structure, and everything was going to the general manager. Everything going to the general manager with no layer in between. At the operational level. So we are now creating a structure that will then provide the support that is needed and then allow the CEO to operate then at the high level under the direction of the board as well, making sure then that the Barbados Water Authority can be more responsive and flexible and respond as well substantially to stakeholder needs, and also as well manage the heavy need in order to make sure that the Barbados Water Authority is also financially right-sized.
The Ministry of Education's Constitution Road headquarters had to be evacuated this afternoon. This after workers noticed smoke. The fire service confirms it received a call about 21 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. A small fire was eventually located in an air conditioning unit in the ministry's Media Resource Department. Station Officer Roger Bourne provided more details surrounding a telephone interview with CBC News.
Smoke was coming from within the air conditioning unit. After a thorough investigation, we identified the small fire within the unit and extinguished it. There's no issues from that. There's supposed to be additional work being checked to make sure that that unit is thoroughly checked properly. So the AP contractors and the government electrical department would carry a thorough check to make sure that there are no more issues within that specific unit, but it has been isolated at this time and the building is being safe and secure.
Station Officer Bourne says there were no reports of anyone being affected by smoke inhalation. The building has been cleared for staff to return to work. A new player has entered the airlift initiative between Africa and the Caribbean. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kerry Simmons, says the Middle East will be added to the program. He made the disclosure during the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries panel discussion on the topic, Air Linking Prosperity, Bridging Trade and Services in the Caribbean and Africa region. He says Barbados will be the gateway for the hub and spoke operation.
The difficulty is that it is not so easy as it sounds to say we're going to get an airline out of the region to do this. Yes, we have aircraft in the region, but the aircraft have to be able to make that long haul. And equally, the aircraft have to be, we don't have any private sector entities in the Caribbean that are running aircraft of that nature. So they're going to be, again, once we talk about new routes like Africa, we're talking about substantially supporting those routes financially. And that very often is where the devil now becomes part of the issue, the devil in the details.
Tourism is expected to be a major part of the operation, with the Caribbean being promoted as a big draw.
We want people to travel to experience the product in its total scope. So that this genealogical tourism that you are talking about, you want people to experience our film and our music and our festivals. You want people to come to consume all of the things that make us a unique type of destination. The advantage is that the Africans are not coming because it is cold. And so therefore you're able to fill that trough, especially between the months of September down to this time of the year, end of October, November, where hotels traditionally either close or go into slow motion mode.
Well, coming up, Barbados warns about multilateralism. The two young men charged in connection with the murder of Darrian Robinson have been remanded to prison, and this after they appeared before Magistrate Wayne Clark at the Holtown Magistrates Court today. They are Malik Shabazz Bacchus of Chapel Gap, Lower Carlton St. James, and Rashay Jermaine Anthony Cadogan of number 78 Carlo Path, Waterford in St. Michael. They were also separately charged with using a firearm. 27-year-old Robinson was shot on October 11th while attending a promotion fete at Thunder Bay in Lower Carlton St. James. He was transported to a private medical facility for attention, but succumbed to his injuries. Police are investigating a stabbing that took place in the city yesterday afternoon. The incident was reported to the operations control room about 2 minutes after 9 p.m. Reports are the man in his early 20s was stabbed under his left arm along Tudor Street in the area of a track. He ran to Gateway Mall and collapsed by a set of stairs at the back of the mall. He was subsequently taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance for treatment. Now, anyone who can provide any information that can assist with these investigations is asked to call police emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, or the nearest police station. Well, Barbados has again warned that multilateralism is under threat, with the country's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kerry Simmons, stressing the situation today is eerily similar to 78 years ago that led to the founding of the United Nations. He says the world is witnessing the continuation and conflagration of inter- and intrastate conflict and the development of political and humanitarian crises,
some of which have taken place right here at home in the Caribbean. Haiti, of course, comes immediately to mind. Indeed, it was only yesterday that the UN Security Council revealed that 1/2 of Haiti's population is now facing humanitarian crisis. Included in that gathering, there are 300 million children. These crises reflect a most regrettable state of affairs, but are sober reminders of how fragile international peace and security truly are, and of how vigilant we must all constantly be if we are to keep global peace and security intact.
Barbados joined in global celebrations on Tuesday commemorating United Nations Day, marking the 78th anniversary of the UN Charter. The annual day celebrates the history of the global organization and aims to refocus public attention on its goals, from ending poverty to tackling climate change. Some 48 new attorneys at law were recently admitted to the bar at the Supreme Court. Cameraman Christopher Wood caught up with them and their parents on the steps as they basked in their accomplishment. They posed with the Chief Justice Sir Patterson Cheltenham and Acting Attorney General Wilfred Abrams. Among them were the children of Chairman of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. Board, Shelley Williams, and Dr. Jerry Emtage. Spoke of the sacrifices that brought them to this point.
I am so excited, so proud, and so humbled to be called to the bar today. It has been a long process. Some days it was filled with doubt, some days it was filled with, can I really do this? And to just be standing here on these stairs, at these steps, and being able to be here and being called to the bar is just surreal. I can't even put it into words how excited, how happy, and how humbled and honored I am to be called into this profession. It's an amazing profession, and I'm so grateful. I earned it.
And the Acting Attorney General Wilfred Abrams said this new set of lawyers are entering the profession at a time when lots of areas are opening up.
So much hard work. The day is actually here and we're very excited. Looking forward to making an impact on the legal profession.
It's kind of surreal. I don't think it really kicked in as yet, the feelings, but probably kicking later.
The Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation recently held its community challenge at Sky Mall. The challenge was held to allow some of their members the chance to win $250 and to take part in Sky Mall's Expression of Independence showcase next month. Executive Director of the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation, Celeste Foster, explained the program is just one part for local entrepreneurs to capitalize on to take their business to the next level.
The Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation is just one cog in the wheel of entrepreneurship. I must say that we have several partners who are doing this consistently. So you have the Trust Fund, you have Fund Access, you have the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, you have the Barbados Youth Business Trust. What we do are programs, but we work very closely with all of those other entities. The community challenge is about working with those persons and then handing them off to the next phase of their development, which could be to any of those entities.
Barbados has heard CARICOM's commitment to driving targeted investments into priority sectors to propel the region's transformation. Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett declared the Caribbean is open for business as she addressed the opening of the Second Caribbean Investment Forum, CIF 2023, in the Bahamas. Dr. Barnett believes sustainable, innovative businesses that can propel the region to further transformation are needed.
With largely capital-scarce countries in our region, economic growth has been propelled by both public and private investments, of which foreign direct investments remain a critical platform. The community therefore places considerable emphasis on creating and maintaining an environment conducive to business operations and on attracting both intra-regional and foreign investment flows. Statistics over the last decade show that our foreign investment inflows are less than what is required to augment domestic investments to drive inclusive and sustainable economic growth and development across our member states.
Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, Deodat Maharaj, says the three-day conference is the largest gathering of businesses and investors in the Caribbean for the year.
The response has been phenomenal, and as of midday today, we reached 502 participants from 40 countries. 90% are business people. We have institutional investors and businesses from India, Ghana, Kenya, across the Caribbean, North America, Europe. So, it's a good sign.
And that's our news. Thanks for joining us. Good night.